All right, we'll just wait for some people to join us. All right, I see a couple of you on here. Please say hi so I know that you guys can hear me. Hi, Dee. Hi, Deborah. Deborah, you're not too far. New York. We got a break today from all of this rain. Hi, Melanie. Okay, guys, so this video is an impromptu video. I often get questions, you know, what kind of things am I using? And I think you guys find that the majority of the time, I use most of the same things over and over again. So I just wanted to update you if I'm still using those items or if I've found something better. So hopefully you find it informative, and feel free to ask me any questions because I can see your chats. Let me make sure I can see everybody here. Okay, so I can see, let's see, we have Kentucky, we have Michigan, we have New York. Wow. So I can see you guys' comments, and I will try to answer those questions. So I wanted to start off with a couple of things here real quick. I did go to Joann's yesterday, and the only thing I walked out with. Hi, Joanne from Massachusetts. Oh, Fabi from Miami. This creative stamping magazine, which, as you guys know, comes with the, and this is issue 58. I gotta keep forgetting that the camera is backwards here for me. And it came with this stamp set. And what I liked was it was designed by Sheena, but I like this little castle here. And again, these are silicone stamps, so you have to prime them before you use them. But I got to keep remembering where the camera is here. But I picked this up at Joann's, and it came with one of these little mini inks, which I haven't tried out yet. So I just want to show you guys that. All right, so I wanted to update you guys on a couple things that I've been using. As you guys know, when it comes to paper, the paper that I like the most is usually Stampin' Up! Whisper White or Nina Solar White Classic Crest, which I just bought a ream off of Amazon. And I want to say I paid around $40 for the ream, but that ream has lasted me forever. So Nina Solar White Classic Crest, that's the #1 paper I use. Stampin' Up! Whisper White is right behind it. And then every once in a blue moon, I will use watercolor paper or Bristol smooth paper. In terms of inks, I use a variety of different inks. I like Altenew inks, obviously Stampin' Up! Inks. I have some Hero Arts inks, Distress Oxide inks. So any kind of ink. I don't know if there's any company that I dislike. I think it just depends on your personal preference and what kind of colors that you want. I do tend to stay away from hybrid inks and pigment inks other than Distress Oxides. So 95% of my inking preference is to go with a dye ink. And then every once in a while, I will switch to Distress Oxide or Distress inks if I'm doing techniques. In terms of... So we talked glue. So for glue, I usually use the mono liquid glue because it does give you some time to move the paper around when you are layering. When I'm adhering sequins, I use the multi-matte medium to adhere sequins, which I use this little Tonto crystal tool. And all you do is it's like got this waxy tip, and when it starts to get a little dull, you can pick the glue off or sharpen it. And I've had this for a couple years, and it's lasted me quite a while, but this is much cheaper than the Crystal Katana. I think it's the same company that makes it, but this is just a lesser expensive alternative because obviously like a eyeliner pencil, you just sharpen it down. So that's for glue. So we talked about paper glue. Scissors. So I recently, in the last year, got these Tim Holtz tonic scissors, and I think I picked them up at Hobby Lobby and used my coupon. I do like that they have a larger handle. These are very powerful scissors, so I find that I'm cutting a lot of things with them. The only thing I don't like using them for is if you are cutting any delicate edges, these shears are serrated. So when you go to cut paper, it does leave kind of a slight serrated edge. So for me, I like to go with sharper point. I can't, that's not coming up. Some sharper pointed scissors. So I usually go to my trusty Cutter Bee scissors, and I have several pairs of these for any kind of fussy cutting that I do in terms of scissors. Those are my scissors. Black ink, my new favorite. VersaClear Fine. I love this ink for two reasons. Number one, it is very, very black. Number two, the new formulation doesn't smear, and it still gives you a few minutes to play around with it and do your heat embossing. So I find this ink is my new go-to ink when I'm doing any kind of black sentiments or black heat embossing. I can watercolor with it once it's heat set. So other than Copic coloring, this is a great black, all around black ink. And then for Copics, as you guys know, I am just using the Memento. So there you go. Flip the scissors. How do you flip it? I guess go this way. Let's see if that works. No, I think it's still doing it. I'll have to look into that. I'll have to look into that. But black ink for alcohol coloring, I use the Memento still. Heat embossing, you guys know I always use VersaFine for that. For mass, in terms of glue, I did try this tonic glue for a little bit. You can see half the bottle's gone. But then what I found out is that it was like clogging. So I've actually cut the tip down, but it's a little harder for me to get this glue out. I don't know if it's it's just a little bit thicker of a glue. It's there, but I reach for this more. So you can see I did use half the bottle on that. Tim Holtz Distress Sprayer. Love it. Use it for everything. Keep it on my desk just to wipe down the desk. It's just water that's in there. You can do big droplets. You can do fine misting with it. So I always have that at arm's length. If you guys don't have a cleaner, this you can find usually at your local beauty supply store. And what most people put in it is like a solvent if you're going to be cleaning your nails. So you just press down. It actually has a locking feature, so you can turn it, press down, and then that will come out. So I just have some stamp cleaner in there, and I keep that at the desk with my microfiber towels. You guys know I do love my microfiber towels. Just if there's any stubborn stains, either on the desk or on my stamps. I got 2-pack off of Amazon, I want to say for under $10. So I have one in the stamp room and one in the bathroom. Have you ever tried art glitter glue from May Made It? No, I have not. I will look into that. Speaking of glitter glue, you guys know that I had a video on Nouveau Embellishment Mousse and how it dried out. And I've mentioned to you guys, if you don't already have the styrofoam lids, please contact Tonic customer service and they will send you the styrofoam lids. The older ones have the cardboard lids. These are the new styrofoam lids. And then if you have the cardboard lids in the meantime, keep your seal on there or put some press and seal down on there. But I haven't had any issues now with this one. Is probably the one that I got most recently, and you can see it's pretty mashed up in there. I've used it already. It's still nice and juicy. With any of the newer ones since I've gotten the new lids in them. And Tonic did reach out to me and say, hey, if you got any problems, let us know. And they've done right by their customer service. Same thing with your Nouveau Glimmer Paste. You want to make sure that you leave that styrofoam lid in there. On the couple that I've noticed that have started to dry out, I've just put a couple drops of glycerin in there. And this glycerin I've picked up at the local beauty supply store. Hi, Huntress from Texas. I will definitely look into that. So Nuvo has definitely, Tonic has stepped up to me to reach out to me after seeing that video and said, you know, let us know if there's anything we can do. So I just want to let you guys know their customer service is awesome. They are trying to back up their product there. For masking, I use masking 3M Post-it tape. I use this all the time. I use this when I'm putting my dies down. I don't use washi tape. I don't have purple tape. This is what I reach for all the time. And I use the full sticky Post-it notes when I'm doing masking. Now, if it's a super large image, then I will use actual masking tape, or sorry, masking paper from Inkadinkado, which I don't have in front of me. But the masking paper, most of the time, they're small images. It's easy to stamp these out and then come away, and they're full sticky Post-it tape. So I always have that on hand. Okay, stamp positioner. I know this is going to cause some debate, and I don't know exactly the full story, but I guess full sticky Post-it notes you will find at your local supply, like office supply store. They might have it out now because it's back to school season. I don't think that Target carries it. But you want to go to like Office Depot or Staples or something like that. Okay. Stamp positioners. I'm not trying to cause an argument here. I do have an original full-size Misty. So you can see here, I did change out my stickers from pink to white. And mine looks a little extra shiny because I put extra clear tape on it, because mine was one of the original ones that did start to crack, as you can see here. So I did reach out to My Sweet Petunia and say, hey, it's starting to crack. And I was basically told, well, you're out of warranty. It is what it is. So that's why I wasn't real happy with spending whatever it was at that time, $60 on this thing, and then finding out that it was cracking, and I was basically told you're out of luck. And I don't use the full size anymore. So I did invest in a mini Misty because I did feel like I needed a tool to do with the, I love the idea of the stamp positioner. So far, I've not had any problems with this sticky, with this cracking. And I have the original pink tape on there, and I do use this a lot. I did invest in a Tim Holtz tool, and I understand that, I guess Tim Holtz and My Sweet Petunia came to an agreement where I think Tim Holtz is no longer going to be selling this in the United States. I'm not sure. What I liked about this was that all you had to do was flip it over. If you wanted to use rubber or clear, you didn't have to pull anything out. You just pull the lid off. I can do it without hitting the camera here. You pull the lid off, and then you flip the lid over based on what kind of stamp you're using, and that's all you have to do. I will say this. Mine has mist spots, and I don't know why. Whatever stamps I'm using, there will be like a bald spot in the middle of it, which totally annoys me because I think this is a much heavier duty product. Plus, I know it's a much cheaper price point. But there are some times where I'm just like aggravated that I have to stamp it multiple times and definitely do the stamping CPR on it. I have not tried the Stampin' Up! Stamparatus. Huntress, I think they discontinued the We Are Memory stamping platform unless there's a new one. But the one that looks like this, they had to discontinue it. So I would say do your research. Use what's going to be best for you. The Misty is great. I know that it is a little more expensive. The Tim Holtz one, like I said, I don't think they're going to be carrying this anymore. So if you can get your hands on one and it's a little bit cheaper, get your hands on it. I think they're only going to be selling it overseas now. I have not tried the new Stampin' Up! Stamparatus, and I don't feel like investing in it, even though I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, because I know. And the I have not seen or heard anything about the new one from We Are Memory Keepers, but these are the ones that I use. Definitely invest in one. I will say that they are great. And I know Miss is the original one. And this little guy does wonders for me. And this is the one I do reach for most of the time. And I have not had any problems with it cracking. And when I'm using And you can see I have like a little piece of acetate in here just to position it. And then I do have the bar magnets, which I think work out easier. And when you're using a rubber stamp, you just pull this foam out. And when you're using a clear stamp, you leave that foam in there. And I laminated one of the sheets there on top, so it's easy to wipe it clean. So I do recommend a stamp positioner. I'm not endorsing one or the other. You guys decide what's going to work out best for you and your budget. Okay. Let's see here. Score Buddy. You know, when I bought this guy, I didn't realize how much I would use him, and I use him like every day. So he's a little guy. He's only 6.5 inches, and he comes with this little tool. So when you're putting your paper down and you're going to score it, you just line up where you want it. Use the little bone folder here to crease it, and then fold over after you have your score line, and then that's it. And then it also came with this self-healing mat. So if you're putting down brads or eyelets or doing any kind of cutting with a X-Acto knife, it's really right here at my fingertips. And I use this guy every day. Great, great investment in having one of these because I make my own card bases. Let's see here. Oh, as you guys know, I put out a video. I got some things from Arteza. So the 3 things I got from Arteza were the brush markers, the heat transfer vinyl, and the color pencils. I did do a video comparing the markers and the color pencils. I have not tried the heat transfer vinyl yet. Once I get to that, I will let you guys know. The markers, I will tell you, I love them. I love the price point. I love the variety of colors. They blend easily. Here's just me just farting around with blending it. And you can see I took a very dark color and blended it in this yellow. I really like these markers, and I don't think that I'm going to need to invest in buying the other ones, the Zig Real Color brushes, because they are a little more expensive. So I will say that I do like these Real brush pens, and for the price point, I would recommend these and stand behind them. The color pencils, I really don't use the color pencils because I found that they were a little dry for my taste. I do like, again, they're at a very good price point. If you're not doing very much in terms of coloring with color pencils, then you might want to invest in these as a starter set. I do also have a nice set of Prismacolors though. So given the choice, I do pick my Prismacolors first over the Artezas. But if there's a color that I don't have in the Prismacolors, then I search my Artezas to see if there's something there that matches. They blend out very nice, but I just find that they take a little more heavier hand to get these colors down, where the Prismacolors are much softer. Now, if you don't like the softer ones, which people have said to me, then you might like the Artezas better. But I do reach for Prismacolor first. If you have a budget, start with the Artezas, because I know Prismacolors are not cheap. They're very expensive. It's the same thing with Copic markers. The majority of my markers are Copic Chows, and that's because they were a lot cheaper. So when I started out, Copic Chows are these little round guys. And a lot of times they were limited in color. You couldn't find refills on them. So that's what I started my collection with, because I don't do a lot of Copic coloring. I've just started to pick up some of the Copic Sketch if I see a sale and there's certain colors that I know that I'm going to use more than others. Like I use a lot with like skin tones or coloring skies. Then I've gone to these Copic Sketch. However, I have a lot of the Spectrum Noir alcohol markers. They work just as good as the Copics in my opinion. The only difference is the tips. The Spectrum Noir has a bullet tip, and it also has a chisel tip, where the Copics have the brush tip. And I do like the brush tip, which is here. Okay. But I use them interchangeably. I use them all the time together. Again, from a budget standpoint, I have a lot of Spectrum Noir because you could get a pack of 6 or 7 for $6 or $7 at AC Moore, where it's $6 for one marker. with the Copics. So they're interchangeable. And if you're just starting out, I would say buy yourself a pack of Spectrum Noir. Go with colors you think you're going to use the most, like greens, blues, flesh tones, and then open up your collection. Look for sales. A lot of times you can get 5 or 6 markers and get them at a discount for that. And then in terms of paper, I always like to use the Nina Solar white paper with those Copics. If you don't have one of these, you need one. This is a adhesive remover. Anytime there is stuck on adhesive or glue, especially the mono liquid glue, when it sticks to something, it sometimes is a pain to get it off because it still stays a little tacky. You just take this little eraser and you erase that adhesive off. And when it starts to get kind of dark in color and icky, you just snip those pieces off with scissors and you just keep going. I have had this guy for years and years and years and years. And you can see I haven't even made a dent in him yet. Embossing. I did a video on embossing before. The coffee filter trick, I use it all the time. The Swiffer trick, I use that all the time. Just makes it easier for cleanup. In terms of the EK Success Tool versus the embossing bag or embossing buddy, they're exactly the same. Whatever you have will be fine. You don't need to go out and buy the newest one. I know a lot of crafters were endorsing this and saying, oh, you got to go get this. It's so cool because it's a brush tip. But you'll see a lot of those same people are not using it anymore because it has a smell. It smells like perfumed baby powder. So a lot of people are staying away from it. So whichever one you have, the embossing buddy, embossing bag. I did have the embossing bag. I gave it to my kids. The embossing bag leaves a residue. So you kind of want to keep it stored in a little cup or baggie or something. Cornstarch works just as well. I've shown a video where you can just put cornstarch at the end of it, old pantyhose, tie off the pantyhose, and have the same thing. So that's for that. Love my Tim Holtz craft pick. I use that for picking up stuff, sequins, things like that. White gel pens. I've recently got a Jelly Roll white pen, and what you want to notice here is it says 0.08. That is the size of the nib. So anything smaller I find tends to clog. The larger the nib, the larger the point, it's not going to clog. I do store mine upside down. The more you use it, the less you're going to have of it clogging. White gel pens are kind of a pain in the butt because they look great and you want to use them. And I find that most of them dry out and then they're no good anymore. But I have not had any problems with this Jelly Roll, and I picked this one up at Michael's. Stamp cleaning. As you guys know, I love my microfiber towels. They just make it so easy. They don't get moldy. They don't get smelly, and you just toss them in the wash when they get too grimy. But I recently started using the Stampin' Up! Stamp Chamois, and I just cleaned it out. So you can see here, it's got all the ink in there, and I did take it up to the sink and rinsed it out and rinsed it out and rinsed it out. So it is clean. There's no more ink coming out of it, but it is stained, but it does a good job. And I keep it in the stamp case so that it stays nice and moist, so that all you need is just a little water on there. I do spray mine with stamp cleaner, but it hasn't really dried out or given me a problem yet. It does a good job of cleaning. So I'll keep you guys updated on how I think this one is going to go, if I'm going to keep using that. And I still use my towels to kind of dry them off because they do get a little wet when using this. Tonic craft mat, as you guys can see here, I know it's in high demand. I know a lot of people have not been able to get it. I will tell you, I think it is worth it. I do like it because you can do everything on this surface. You can cut on it. You can paint on it. You can watercolor on it. You can do heat embossing on it. You can do texture paste on it. So this little mat here is just a little nonstick mat that sticks down. It is a large mat and it is a heavy mat. So whatever place you're going to put it is the place you want it to stay. You don't want to be moving this around. I know some people are limited in space and they use like a dining room. This is not the mat for that. If you're going to put this mat somewhere, leave it there. So leave it in your designated desk. I just take a little wipe of water and wipe it down every once in a while. If I have some stubborn stains, then I will get those off of there. I did get the tools with mine. It came in the bundle that I bought. I've yet to use them. This little ruler, it has like a little clip there so it can hang off of the mat and not move. I have yet to use it. the little scrapey tool. I've yet to use it, but I'm not a mixed media person. If you're more of a messier mixed media, dried paint kind of person, you might like these two items. It also comes with this set, comes with extra sticky mat, which I don't even know where mine is. So there you go on that. My tonic trimmer. So I gave this rave reviews when it came out. You guys have seen me use this thing on probably every single video. I have had a small problem with it, and I have yet to contact Tonic. I will, though. So the first problem I had was all the little feet fell off, which are here, and I found them all, and I basically glued them all in. Not a big deal, but it made it wobble when one of the feet would fall off and I couldn't find it. So I found them all. I glued them all in. The problem I have now is with the arm itself. So it still cuts fine. It has this nice guard. It's the perfect size. It's light. But watch my arm. So it's supposed to stop here. And it keeps going. So something inside the mechanism here is supposed to be stopping that, and it's not. So my arm goes all the way back. It's more of a nuisance than anything because I will flip it up and then realize, oh, it doesn't need to go that far. Once you're used to it stopping at a certain point and it doesn't do it anymore, it still cuts great. I love it. I will probably invest in a new one, but I'm going to contact Tonic and see what they say before I go out and spend 25 bucks on a new one. But I would definitely buy another one of these. I use it all the time and it cuts great. Still cuts like butter. I think that's pretty much it, guys. You guys have any questions about anything? Any products out there that you want me to try? Let me see. I have a little list here. Gemini Jr. I forgot to mention that. Gemini Jr. is the best thing I've ever spent my money on. I love that guy. Here are my mats. This is the original mat. It is all cut up. Yes, it is slightly warped. It does not affect how it cuts. I love this. This is the magnetic mat, my original one. Now I've learned to use it, so I'm not cutting into it like I originally did, but I just put tape on it. Still using it fine. This is the what I call the milky mat, and then this is the other cutting mat, which I haven't even cut into yet. I do have a spare set of plates that I bought that I have not cut into yet. The only one I do not use is the metal one, and that's because it gave me a paper cut, so I don't like that thing. I leave it in there. But this Gemini Jr. off of HSN, the best investment ever that I have made in terms of stamping. I love that guy. He's just like my best friend when it comes to crafting. He's right next to me, and it takes like 9 seconds for him to cut something out or emboss it. Foam tape. These are a foam pack of colored adhesive foam, and this is the adhesive side, and I just cut this down and put it behind any of my cards when I'm doing something. I don't really use foam tape that much. I use more like dimensional glue or like dimensionals from Stampin' Up! Or foam dots, things like that. Glue dots, Zots, things like that. You guys know. Foiling. As you guys know, I love foiling. I do have the mini mink. I know that's hard to find right now as well. If I had a choice between the mink and the laminator, yes, I would choose my mini mink. I do use it more than I use the laminator. The only time I break out my laminator is if I'm doing anything that's larger than the 6-inch opening that's on the mink. But for the most part, I do use that. I do not use Melanie, the craft foam I got. Here, let me see here. Here you go. I got it in the kids section at the craft store, and it looks like it's made by Doris. Did Doris get bought out? Does anybody know? Because I went to Joann's, and they don't have their embossing folders out anymore, and they have some other company. All right, so as I was saying, foiling, I love, as you guys know, Creative Vision Stamps foil. Now, yes, I am on the design team because I was a customer before I was on the design team. I do have Deco Foil products, but with the Creative Vision Stamps foil, I like it because it is thicker and you get 25 feet. So in terms of where my money's going, I get way more foil from that company. It is a little more expensive. It's $12 for a roll, but it's 25 feet. It's not $8 for 4 sheets like some other companies out there. And they have, and I only got a couple of rolls for being on the design team. I have paid for all of these things. These came out of my pocket, guys. So I like foiling and I've paid for these. These were not given to me. That's another question that was asked, and I'll answer it for you guys because you guys should know. All of the products other than the Arteza products and some of the things that I've been sent for being on Creative Vision Stamps design team, I have paid for all out of my pocket. I'm very fortunate to be picked to be on the design team, but this is my hobby. I have a real job. I work full-time at a car dealership. And so anything that you guys see, I have paid for it other than the Arteza products, which they sent to me to try out. And like I said, some of the Creative Vision stamps, I have paid for everything else. And in terms of YouTube, people say, well, you make a lot of money on YouTube. No, not really, guys. I have almost 3,500 subscribers now. And you get paid based on you guys watching the advertisements, not based on, like your views and things like that. It's hard to explain. So just to give you an idea, last month, it took me 2 months to get $170. And they only pay you once you get up to $100. So I literally get less than $100 a month from doing the YouTube videos. That's not where the money comes from. When I do get that money, yeah, I spend it back on craft supplies for you guys to see. But this is my hobby. I do this for fun, and I like to share that with you guys as my viewers. But this whole channel started out for my stepkids because we were doing stamping together, and they live like 2 hours away. So, and I joined Stampin' Up, but I'm not making any money there either. I just do Stampin' Up for fun. I'm trying to stay in so I can keep up with the paper and the inks and the new stamps and stuff, but I'm not actively going out and selling these things that we make. I just do it for fun. And I truly do appreciate when you guys give me a thumbs up or give me a question or a comment and you want to know something. And I love the camaraderie that friends that I've made through this hobby. So, I mean, here's some stamp sets I just purchased from Close to My Heart demonstrator. So this is a new fishing set, and this is a stars constellation set, and then here's a very nice masculine outdoorsy set. This is close to my heart. Oh my God, I'm breaking the rules. No, I love stamping, and I will try anything. And if I think it's good, I'll let you guys know I think it's good. And they do make good photopolymer stamps, by the way. So that's all I got, guys. You guys have any questions? Chalk culture. I'm gonna write that down. And you guys said, what was the May Arts glitter? I'm writing it down. Don't be shy, guys. Any questions? Anything you want me to try out? I'll try it out and let you know what I think. The problem is art glitter glue. Okay, I wrote it down. Yep, May art glitter glue. I just ordered some Bow Bunny glitter paste too to put through stencils. How many of you guys have started your Christmas cards? Wait till next week, guys. I have some cards that I made for the new Creative Vision stamps. You guys have probably already seen them, but I made a video showing some of the new Christmas and Halloween stamp sets they have coming out, and they're so cute. Crafter's Companion inks. I have not yet. I am 50-50 when it comes to Crafter's Companion because their stamps are silicone stamps unless you buy the rubber stamps. So I have not. I love their Sheena markers and all that stuff, but I have not tried the, yes, I did order one of the new glaze from Brutus Monroe. I love Brutus Monroe, you guys. I love Christopher Allen. I watch his nightly YouTube things. He's so excited now because he's gotten signed up with Deco Foil, so he has some neat stuff going on there. But I did order his new unicorn glitter glaze. So I have a shipment coming in and I will let you know about that. Oh, thank you, Huntress. What is the difference between a Gemini Junior and the Gemini? The Gemini is larger. So if you were going to be cutting out multiple, like it will take like a full 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. The Gemini Junior, I'll show you guys. He's a tiny little thing. Well, he's not that tiny. He's a powerhouse. Let me see if I can get him in the frame here. He's very heavy. Let me see if I can move this up. And I did make like a cheat video on him when I first got him, but I've learned so much since then. I should probably update that video. There you go. So this is the Gemini Junior, but the biggest difference is that opening there. So the Gemini is much bigger. I would say this guy weighs like 10 pounds. He's pretty heavy, but he sits on the table next to my desk. And it literally takes him like 10 seconds to cut something out. If it doesn't fit, like I've made my sandwich too thick, it will spit it back out at me. It's great. Lift ink. I did. Okay, so I have a story behind that. I did try to make my own. I did a DIY of that with blending solution inside one of the Tim Holtz empty. Let me see if I can find it here. You guys have seen the Tim Holtz empty ink pads. All right, so here we go. I took one of these empty ink pads and I took blending solution and put it in there. And actually, this is still moist. Well, a little bit. It's starting to dry out. And that was my concern, was this is alcohol based, so it is going to dry out. So I kind of figured that was going to happen. It did work. It did pull the ink off of the image, but I want to do more of an experiment with it. However, I ordered from Tupelo Designs, and I like Tupelo Designs because they do have free shipping, but they usually do take a little while to ship things. And on back order is the Yupo paper, the alcohol lift ink, and the alcohol ink pad. So I did order them. They are on back order. Of course, as soon as they come in, you guys will see me do a video of that. Gemini full size weighs close to 15 pounds. If you put the yes, Sean, yes. I actually have both Geminis, and if I had to keep one, I would choose the big one. I've heard a lot of people say that. I returned the Gemini Junior, and I got the original. The platform is small on the Junior. And, oh, yes, visible image stamps. I've looked at a couple of their stamps. I haven't bit the bullet and bought anything yet. But I do like that they're very distressed looking, very similar to kind of vintagey, like Tim Holtz, very artsy. My friend Kim does a lot with that kind of stuff, and I'm trying to get her on camera because she started to do, she did the Vintage Roses video. I'll link that so you guys can see that, but she loves Tim Holtz. Everything she has is very distressed. Shabby chic is her style, where I'm more classic and modern, and I am always in awe when I see the time and the effort she puts into making these beautiful cards. And she just made a beautiful Tim Holtz haunted house with the dies, and she like puts moss and everything on it, and it's gorgeous. So I'm going to see if I can get her on video to make some of her creations. But she just makes some really fabulous things. So I'm going to try to get her to give us a guest appearance to do a video. Any other questions? Well, you guys, we have been on here for 38 minutes talking about stuff that I use every day. And I have written down the May glitter glue, chalk culture, visible image stamps. I'm writing it down. How about techniques? Do you guys like to see more coloring techniques, more foiling techniques? I'm probably going to start making some Christmas cards soon. Anything? Well, if you guys think of any questions, don't hesitate to put them down below, and I will link a couple videos. If you are new to my channel, new to stamping, I do have a starter series of videos. There's like Stamping 101, 102, and 103. Look those up. At the top, I have playlists. So there's playlists based on using heat embossing, using coloring, using watercoloring, using brushos, using Creative Vision stamps, using Stampin' Up! Stamps, using embossing folders. So anything you like, let me know. Alcohol inks is another one I've been starting to dabble with to do, but I will be starting to do some Halloween and Christmas cards for you guys. But I do appreciate all of you guys watching. If you like this video, you can scroll all the way up and give it a thumbs up, and what it will do, it will spread the word to other crafters so they know to look us up, and they can also give me some ideas. But I appreciate every single one of you guys watching. Thanks for watching, and keep on stamping. Bye, guys.